Finnegans Wake by Joyce, Book 1, Chapter 7, Section 188. Let us pry. We thought, would, and did, cur qui dubi, quomodo cotis, quibus auxiliis. You were bred, fed, fostered, and fattened from holy childhood up in this too Easter island on the pie jaw of hilarious heaven, and roaring the other place plunders tonight of you, blunders what's left of you, flash as flash can. And now, forsooth, a nogger among the blankards of this dastard century, you have become of toothsome twy minds, forenenst gods, hidden and discovered, nay, condemned fool, anarch, egoarch, hierarch. You have reared your disunited kingdom on the vacuum of your own most intensely doubtful soul. Do you hold yourself then for some god in the manger? Shehohem, that you will neither serve, not let serve, pray, nor let pray. And here pay the piety must I to nerve myself to pray, for the loss of self-respect to equip me for the horrible necessity of scandalising. My dear sisters, are you ready? By slowing off my hope and tremors while we all swim together in the pool of Sodom. I shall shiver my purity while they will weep big for your sins. Away with covered words, new solemnities for old bad sheep bads, that inharmonious detail. Did you name it? Cold Caldor G. Victory now. Apropos of underslung pipes, John Jacobs, while yet an adolescent, what do I say, was still puerile in your tub suit with button legs, you got a handsome present of a self-raising syringe and twin feeders. You know, Monsieur Abgot, in your art of arts, to your cost as well as I do, and don't try to hide it. The penal knots I am now poking at, and the wheeze sort of was you should, if you were as bold as talk, now as the curate that christened you, sonny doth the candle, repopulate the land of your birth and count up your progeny by the hungered head and the angered thousand, but you thwarted the wise pish of your co-godparents, sof among countless occasions of failing. For, said you, I will elongate, adding to the malice of your transgression, yes, and changing its nature. You see, I have read your theology for you, alternating the morosity of my delectations of filtered love, trysting by tantrum, small peace in perpenmark, with sensibility, sponsibility, possibility, and prostability, your Lubbock's other fair pleasures of a butler's life, even extruding your strabismal apologia when legibly depressed upon defenseless paper, and thereby adding to the already unhappiness of this our pop-eyed world, scribblative. All that, too, with cantreds of countless cachalines, the manish as many as the mindful, congested around and about you for acres on roods and poles and perches, thick as the fluctuant sads of Chalwalder. Accomplished women, indeed fully educated, far from being old and rich behind their dream of arrivisme, if they have only their honour left, and not deterred by bad weather when consumed by amorous passion, struggling to possess themselves of your bush. One son of sword for all daughters of anguish, solus cum sola sive cumtis cum omnibobs. I'd have been the best man for you myself, mutely eyeing for that natural, not debituary, vases or vessels preposterous. For what would not have cost you 10 bolivars of collar work for the price of one ping pang, just a lilt, just a trilt, of the oldest song in the wood world, to we, to one, accompanied by a plain gold band, hail, hail, high bosom heaving, Mistress Morna, of the old sweetheartening bride-moor demeanour. Her eyes so gladsome, we'll all take shares in the groom. Sniffer of carrion, premature gravedigger, seeker of the nest of evil, in the bosom of a good word, you, who sleep at our vigil and fast for our feast, you, with your dislocated reason, have cutely foretold a Japhet in your own absence, by blind poring upon your many scalds and burns and blisters, impetiginous sore and pustules, by the auspices of that raven cloud your shade, and by the auguries of rooks in parliament, death with every disaster, the dynamitization of colleagues, the reducing of records to ashes, the levelling of all customs by blazes, the return of a lot of sweet-tempered, gunpowder deeds unto dust. But it never struck your mudhead's obtundity. Oh, hell, here comes our funeral. Oh, pest, I'll miss the post. That the more carrots you chop, the more turnips you slit, the more Murphys you peel, the more onions you cry over, the more bull beef you butch, the more mutton you cracker hack, the more pot herbs you pound, the fiercer the fire. And the longer your spoon and the hotter your gruel, with more grease to your elbow, the merrier fumes your new Irish stew. Oh, by the way, yes. Another thing occurs to me. You let me tell you, with the utmost politeness, were very ordinarily designed. Your birth wrong was to fall in with plan, as our nationals should, as all nationists must, and do a certain office. What? I will not tell you. In a certain holy office, nor will I say where, during certain agonizing office hours, a clerical party all to yourself, from such a year to such an hour, on such and such a date, at so and so much a week pro anno. Guinnesses, may I remind you, were just a gulp for you, failing in which you might have taken the scales off boilers, like any boss cup of Yorick, and do your little threepenny bit, and thus earned from the nation true thanks, right here in our place of burden, you're born of travail and veal of tears, where after divine's prodigence you drew the first water gasp in your life. From the crib where you once was bid to the crypt, you'll be twice as shy of same as we, long of us, alone with the cult in the corner, where you were as popular as an Armenial with the faithful, and you set fire to my tailcoat when I hold the paraffin smoker under yours. I hope that chimney's clear, but slackly shirking both your bullet and your billet. You beat it backwards like a boulanger from Galway, but he combed the grass against his stride to sing us a song of alibi, the cut-thone call, over the grey bounding, slow rolling, amply heaving metamorphoses that oozy rocks parampangle their preposters with. Nomad, mooner, by lamplight, Antonos, shamming amid everyone's repressed laughter to conceal your scatophilia, by mating like a thorough-paced prosodite, masculine monosyllables of the same numerical mus, an Irish emigrant, the wrong way out, sitting on your crooked sixpenny stile, an unfrill-frocked quack friar. You, will you, for the laugh of Shakespeare, just help mine with the epithet? Semi-Semitic serendipitist, you. Thanks, I think that describes you. You're a pan-Asianized Afro-Yank. Shall we follow each other a step longer, downer of daggers, while our liege, till yet a stranger in the front yard of his happiness, is taking heel hepper, one gob, one gap, one gulp, and gorger of all his refreshment? There grew up beside you Amid our horizons of the speediest in Novena Lodge, Novara Avenue, in patripodium ambomu oaf, out of work, one removed from an unwashed savage, on his keeping and in yours. I pose, you know, why Possum hides is 'cause he hate the no-gum triumption. That other immaculatus from head to foot, sir, that pure one, Altrus of other times, he who was well known to Celestine circles before he sped aloft, our handsome young spiritual physician that was to be seducing every sense to self-willing celebesti, the most winning counterfoil on our income share lottery. A chum of the Angelites, a youth those reporters so prettily wanted as a game fellow that they asked his mother for ittle Eops Brupa to let him tome to Tinder tartan. Peace, and bring his scoot along, and 10 they were all real brothers in the big just right home, where Dodd lives, just to tidify the life out of him and pat and pass him one with the other like musk from hand to hand. That mother-smothered model, that good looker with not a flaw, whose spiritual toilettes were the talk of half the town for sunset wear and nightfall in use and daybroke in donning and noonchian showing, and the very thing for tea's time, but him you laid low, with one hand one fine May morning in the middle of your might, your bosom foe, because he mussed your speller on you, or because he cut a pretty figure in the focus of your frontispects. Not one did you slay, no, but a continent to find out how his innards worked. You ever read of that great-grand landfather of our vision builders, Babu, the bourgeois meister, who thought to touch both hymnals at the punt of his risen stiff staff, and how wishy-washy sank? Ever thought of that hereticalist Marcone and the 2 sissy maids, and how bulkily he shot the ructions gunneral? Ever hear of that Foxy, that Lupo, and that Monkax, and the virgin air of the Morrisons, eh? Blethering ape, malingerer and luxury, collector general, what has your lowness done in the meal time, with all the Helmut cars of cooked vegetables, the hatfuls of stewed fruit, the suitcases of cuddled ales, the parish funds, me shamer man, that you kiddie coke so flexibly out of charitable butteries by yowling heavy with a hollow voice drop of your horrible, awful poverty of mind, so as you couldn't even pledge a crown of thorns to pawn a coat off Trevis, and as how you was bad no end. So you was, so whelp you sinner piter and sinner pool, with the chicken's gape and pas mal de siècle, by which, by the by, Reynaldo, is the ordinary emetic French for grenadier's drip, to let you have your plank and your bone wash, oh, that has troubles you lost, to give you your pound of platinum and 1,000 thongs a year, oh, you were excruciated, in honour bound to the cross of your own cruel fiction, to let you have your Saturday spree and holy night sleep. Fame would come to you twixt asleep and awake, and leave to lie the paraskivi and the crows for Denmark. Oh, Jonathan, your stomach. The simian has no sentiment sections, but weep cataracts for all me. Pain the shaman, oft in the smelly night will they wallow for a clutch of the famished hand. I say, them bearded Jezebels you hired to rob you while on your sodden straw, impolitely you encored Erish and Norbogalish, those horn-made ivory dreams you raved of the Ruth you called your companionate, a beauty from the Bible of the flesh-pots of Euston, and the hanging garments of Marylebone. but the dormer moon she smiled Celine, and the light throwers nickered. Who's whinging we? Comport yourself, you inconsistency. Where is that little alimony nest egg against our predictable rainy day? It is not the fact, gainsay me, cake-eater, that while whistle-whirling your crazy elegies around Temple Tomb Mount, Joinstone, let him pass, please, good Jerusalem, in a bundle of straw. He was baptized after haymaking. You squandered among the underlings the overload of your extravagance, and made a Hottentot of Dulpeners cross-sick with your crumbs? Am I not right? Yes, yes, yes. Holy wax and Hullifer, don't tell me, Leon of the Fold, that you are not a loan shark. Look up, old sooty, be advised by Mox, and take your medicine. The good doctor mould it. Make sick twice before repastures and powder 3 times a day. It does marvels for your grippins, and it's fine for the solitary worm. Let me finish. Just a little Judas tonic, my gem of all jokes, to make you go green in the gazer. Do you hear what I'm seeing, Hammett? And remember that golden silence gives consent, Mr. Ankle-gazer. Cease to be civil, learn to say nay. Wisht, come here, Herr Studiosus. Till I tell you a wig in your ear, we'll do a whisper drive. For if the Barishnias got a twitter of it, they'd tell the housetops, and then old Cadbury would go crackers. Look! Do you see your dial in the rocking glass? Look well, bend down a stigmy till it's secret. Igri, I say, boosliers. I had it from lamppost Shaun, and he had it from the mullah and mole, and took it from a blue-coat scholar, and gay socks jotted from Potterfool's wife, and Rantipole tipped the wing from old Mrs. Teen Bullet, and as for she was confussed by brother Thacolicus, and the good brother feels he would need to defecate you, and the flimsy follets are simply beside each other, and Kelly, Kenny, Keogh are up and in arms, that a cross may crush me if I refuse to believe in it, that I may rock anchor through the ages if I hope it's not true, that the host may choke me if I beneighbour you without my charity. Shem, you are, you are mad. He points the death bone, and quicker still, insomnia, somniorum, amom. Mercius of himself. Domini vopiscus, my fault, his fault, a kingship through a fault, pariah, cannibal Cain, I who oathily forswore the womb that bore you, and the paps I sometimes sucked, you, who ever since have been one black mass of jigs and jim-jams, haunted by convulsionary sense of not having been or being all that I might have been, or you meant to becoming, bewailing like a man that innocence which I could not defend like a woman. Lo, you there, Cuthman Carberry, and thank movies from the innermost depths of my still attrite heart, wherein the days of youth are ever mixed, me mine, now ere the compline hour of being alone at hands itself, and a puff or so before we yield a spiritus to the wind, for, though that royal one has not yet drunk a goatlet from his consummation, and the flower pot on the pole, the spaniel pack and their quarry retainers, and the public house proprietor have not budged a millimetre, and all that has been done has yet to be done and done again, when day's woe, and lo, you're doomed. Joy day dawns, and la, you dominate. It is to you firstborn and first fruit of woe, to me branded sheep pick of the waster paper bascle. By the tremors of Thundry and Ullaran's dog-star, you alone, wind-blasted tree of knowledge of beautiful and devil, aye, clothed upon the meteor and shimmering like the horizons, astroglodynomologos, the child of Nilfit's father, Beelzebub, to me unseen blusher, in an obscene coal hole, the cubulum of your secret side dweller in the down and outermost, where voice only of the dead may come. Because ye left me, because ye laughed on me, because, oh, me lonely son, ye are forgetting me, that our turf-brown mummy is a-coming, a pilla, betilla, siltilla, deltilla, running with her tidings, all the news of the great big world. Sonny's had a scrap, whoa, whoa, whoa. Bab's baby walks at 7 months, way, way, way. Bride leaves her raid at punch time. Stud stoned before a race course full, 2 bells that make the one appeal. Dry Yanks will visit old Sarden, 4 tiered skirts are up, mesdames, while Parikimni wears popular short legs, and 12 house to mix a tipsy wake. Did ye hear, Colt Cooney? Did ye ever, Philly Fortescue? With a beck, with a spring, all her ringlets shaking. Rock drops in her tucky, tram tokens in her hair, all waved to a point, and then all innuendation. Little old-fashioned mummy, little wonderful mummy, ducking under bridges, bell-hopping the weirs, dodging by a bit of bog, rapid shooting round the bends, the tullocks, green hills, and the pools of Fuka, a place they call Blessington, and slipping sly by Sally Noggin as happy as the day is wet, babbling, bubbling, chattering to herself, deludering the fields on their elbows, leaning with the sleuthering slide of her giddy-gaddy, granny ma, gossipacious Anna Livia. He lifts the life wand, and the dumb speak, Qua, 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 quag.